See what he'll do.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 69 of Technically Trek, the OG Technically Trek. I am your humble host, Dave Prime, and over there on my right, is our ditzy witch, Captain Katie. How are you doing tonight, my dear? Or in this case, morning.
Yeah, not very good, in all honesty. I've had a very up and down week. Good thing I got my book out to all my beta readers, and I've already had one review back. And other than that, the rest of the week's been shit. I was on crutches for 3 days.
Ugh.
No, sorry, my apologies too. Because of my hip and leg. But I went out for a lovely meal with my mum. She took me out for a late lunch to celebrate me finally completing my first book.
Right on.
Other than that, though, I'm having a bit of a shit time at the minute, so I'm hoping that you lot can cheer me up.
Okay. Well, Friday's going to mark 14 months of sobriety for me, so won't get a chip for
Yay!
that, but yeah, it's going on 14 months now. It's one of my friends in the house here just celebrated 18 months of sobriety, so yay for him.
Yes, congratulations to him. That is absolutely amazing, and congratulations for you as well, Dave. Because as I've always said, your journey is, although it's been a very tough one, it's also inspiring as well. And I take a lot of my strength from your journey.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the help. Yeah, pray to the prophets that my allergies will let me get through this without coughing too much. But speaking about struggles, though, the Lady Val, the love of the life of Mono Interrami, I mean, she's on the mend. She got a pacemaker, but of course, with the American medical system holding her hostage, and well, it's a effed up, complicated story. If you follow Mono Interrami on Facebook or on YouTube, is saying you can he's been given daily updates, letting know what's going good, what's going bad, what hopefully here in the next week or so they're going to get her home and get some the help that they need at home. So prayers to Lady Val. I'm sure Brew is just itching to see mommy again. Brew is their black cat. If it and I'm one of the few people that cat actually stands when I've had to house sit for them in the past. So, which it's been a while since.
I'm sure he'd love me.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I'm sure Brew will just cuddle right up to you. But saying, if you want to join the conversation live with us, either by audio, if you're too shy to go on camera, I say just click the YouTube description down below. That'll let you hop in, be a part of the conversation. We got about seven slots available right now for people. Unfortunately, I got word from Tyson that he's not going to be able to make it tonight because he's picking his father up at the hospital. So prayers to him as well and his family, because
Oh wow! I hope he's okay.
yeah, that's what I text him saying. Hope he's doing okay.
I'll have to
But
try and get in touch with him somehow, just so that he knows that I'm sending him much love and his dad much healing.
well, I'd say, well, you could. There's always the Discord. You can always. That's another place where you guys can join in on the conversation if like get it pulled up here. Oh, there it is. So if you just go to bit.ly/dt_fam, and say that will get you to the Discord channel, and you can sign up and join in all the crazy with everyone from the Dangerous Thoughts family, and keep up to date on when the flagship show is going to be back on the air. They're ready to go, but with Val's health, that takes priority over everything, which is totally
Naturally.
understandable, and I absolutely support that. Um, but yeah, so yeah, bit.ly/dt_fam. So I'll just let it go by one more time there. But before we go on, just got to give a plug for my partner Dubby. They make these great drinks. I am looking to purchase their s'mores flavor pretty soon, which you actually mix with milk. And when I talked about some with someone about that, they suggested hot milk, so make it a hot chocolate. I was like, that would be a great idea. But
Now that I could get on board with. That I could get on board with because I'm not so bad with hot chocolate. But I mean there again, one one sip of that and I will probably be bouncing off the walls like Tigger. That is one drink I definitely don't need. But for everyone who is not like me and who does need a bit of the wakey energy boost,
yeah, the energy boost without the crash afterwards. But yeah, just
yeah.
go to the website w.gg, and if you use the code TechTrek, TEKTREK, you'll get 10% off your order as long as it's not a bundle deal, which they already give you a pretty good discount on the bundle deals. But standalone products, a couple of different flavors, tumblers like this one, and they're saying you can get 10% off that order. But that being said, we're going to talk about data tonight, and next week's definitely going to be a big episode because we got two new episodes to finally talk about after a hiatus because of the writer's strike and all that other crazy BS. Is that we finally get to see one of the longest cliffhanger resolutions in television history. I think Twin Peaks has got that beat hands down. They like 30 odd years between the last episode and then the continuation from about several years ago. But when it comes to Star Trek, this is the longest hiatus that even I'm sure that guy that screamed at Patrick Stewart about ruining his summer from the Best of Both Worlds
Yeah.
hiatus, that's really going to kind of get up there. Even though we got a little teaser a while back. I know you don't like spoilers and stuff, Katie, but I saw that and was like, okie dokie. But yeah, with
Yeah, well,
Data,
when I went to Comic Con,
what's that?
I actually when I went to Comic Con last year, I actually spoke to Melissa Navia um, about it, and the only thing that she said to me is, "We haven't started filming yet, but season 3 is going to be epic." Um, and that is all she said. And we had a bit of a bitch about the musical episode as well, with Erica not getting a full song, which you know I was bitching about from the off. But yeah, she did say to me that season 3 is gonna be epic and very worth the wait. And I'm inclined to believe her.
Yeah, with some of the titles of the episode names, it's definitely going to sound interesting. Like the you already know what the premise is because again, spoilers. 4.5 Vulcans is the name of one of the episodes later in the season.
I don't even know any of the names of the episodes. Yeah, that's just how I roll. I've not seen any teaser trailers or anything. All I know is that the first episode of season 3 is a direct continuation from the cliffhanger, and it's like
Like
Gemini.
hegemony, or as Hugo say, I can't do the right pose. Hegemony. They're just like very,
Oh, I
very,
really hope that
very.
Hugo's going to be able to join us for some of these, because I mean, aside from the fact I miss that guy, um, he just, yeah, and I know that he's looking forward to season 3.
Yeah, see, as am I. So we were still on Twitter when we were talking about those episodes. So
Yes, we were.
that just
Did
kind
you
of
know that
shows,
it's really strange that I missed those Twitter spaces?
in a sense, yeah. But trying to archive them for posterity, that's been a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the format we're on now. I really do, but just a little part of me misses those Twitter spaces, especially the kind of like off book ones as well.
Hmm.
'Cause we had our set Twitter spaces, like like this show and DT, and then we had our off book ones, and they were just crazy. And yeah, I do kind of miss those, but everything evolves, and we've evolved the same as Dangerous Thoughts evolved. Um, and yeah, it's going good.
And by the way, I forgot to mention, I got a hell of a deal on that little shelving unit behind me. So I finally was able to put some more of my Star Trek stuff in the background. My pewter models of the Enterprise D, Klingon Bird of Prey, the Lower Decks gift box that I got from Paramount 2 years ago, and saying
Yes, I've
so
seen that.
yes, yay. And then of course I got that one last year,
Mm.
and my combat just decided to fall off. I guess it doesn't like the fabric that I'm using. So yeah, I tried to get all official and stuff since like Tyson he wears his, Travis he's wearing one of his, and just like mine doesn't want to work.
Yeah, and I'm just a rebel. I don't have one. Yeah, eventually, I am going to get one.
But yeah, on with the show. We're talking about Data tonight, who's striving to understand and emulate humanity despite his early on his emotionless positronic nature. We got to see him embark on a profound journey of self-discovery, starting on board the Enterprise D. Yeah, friendships that he made with Picard, with Geordi, among many others, like D'Souza. I see that's probably going to be one of the episodes. I think that was the character's name. Going to talk about that episode a little bit. Just kind of an all-encompassing everything about Data, saying talking about his pursuits with painting, music, Spot, um, and just tried to reflect on his quest on kind of balancing and working with that machine versus humanity. So let's dish about that profound journey through the series and the movies, and of course, culminating with season 3 of Picard. We are going to dish, and we're going to bring Travis on. How's it going, man?
Hello, hello. Everything's going. Uh, Yesterday I went to go see the new Superman movie. Great.
Oh,
Anybody, everybody who loves Superman, go see this movie. Mr. Terrific is a standout. Crypto, you gotta love Crypto. The
I
alien
say,
that is it's a dog, and you gotta love it. You're gonna love it. I love this movie. I seen it twice already.
oh
It
my,
was great. But then,
yeah, it's good.
unfortunately, after I got out of the movie, I got on Facebook and stuff, and my one of my dearest, closest friends, my best friend, for the last about 25 years, his twin brother passed away.
Oh no,
So
Oh
yeah,
no,
I hate to
bless
hear that.
them.
I was like, oh man,
yeah,
it's just one of those things. It's just like, oh, goodness gracious,
yeah.
But
But
like, like I said, go see DC Superman. You're gonna love it.
yeah,
I
see,
love it.
I got a bunch of these VIP tickets to go see a movie for free. I've had these things for at least a decade, probably longer. And say, but I went to
Mhm.
the one theater that I could use these at, and I asked them, saying, "Hey, I got these old." I showed him one of them, saying, "Can I go see a movie with this?" And he said, "Oh, sure." And he took it away from me. He said, "Oh, no, 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 not now." I say, "I just wanted no for later." And say,
Yeah.
since I got a bunch of them. So once Superman's been out for a couple of weeks, hopefully I can use these to go see it for free. So
Do it before
and
they drop it on HBO Max and stuff because you knowing how quickly these movies that they only last a very short window time in the theaters, and then all of a sudden
mm,
they want to stick them on social on streaming, which is to me killing the movie industry. It used to be almost 8 to 9 months before they come out on VHS back in the day,
mm,
and then you have to wait a very long time when they come out on VHS stuff because they go through a theatrical release, and it's like you're killing the movie industry. You only have them out for a short amount of time, and then you put them on streaming. And it's, not to get talk about it, we go back to Data, but I like to see people go out to the movie industry because I'm a movie, fanatic. I have always been. The movie theatrical experience is the cheapest way to go on the dates with somebody and stuff.
mm.
You know, I love the movies, and I always want to love the movies.
Right on. Say, but yeah, like I said, seeing crypto and some of those teasers, just like He's got to be one of the stars of the show.
Crypto. He get I'm not gonna spoil anything, but in the third act, he gets his he gets his just rewards. Something happens to Crypto, and you will see, and then he gets his reward in the third.
Right
act,
on.
just towards the end of the third act.
The only thing I see Crypto in is Titans.
Say again.
The only televised anything to do like in any way with like Superman or like any reference to him is in Titans. Crypto's in that, and it's not Superman that's in Titans. It's what's his name? He's kind of like a Lex Clark hybrid. Is it Connor? No, not Connor.
Yes. I know you talk about. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Lex Luthor made in the comics he literally made a being, a clone of Clark Kent, aka Superman, and himself. They share a child together. Lex Luthor and the Superman share a child together. It's wacky and bug, but you know what? It's written in the comics, and it does right. And I know what you talk about. It's Connor. I think it's Connor Kent, something like that.
I'm not sure because I know that it was kind of like this character was like referred to in Smallville, but I don't think he survived. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen Smallville now.
Phil, yes, he saw it. He loved it. I love Crypto. Crypto, it's the toy.
I know that I'm going to love Crypto, but I mean, I eventually I do want to see this movie. I really do, and I know that I'm going to love Crypto because he's probably going to end up being my favorite character.
Terrific is really the standout out of everybody, out of the characters. Mr. Terrific is the most standout character. I cannot wait to see what they do with the feature of Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific was awesome. It was the most they call it comic book accuracy comic in that you have ever seen. It has a little wonkiness in the CGI, but it's the most comic book accuracy, in a long time since we've seen it and stuff. And I liked it. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. But let's get back to
let's get back to this concludes for now at least the technically part of Technically Trek, which one of the things we stand out amongst other Star Trek podcasts is that we do encourage live participation with the listeners and viewers. So we got 44 subscribers. We'll get you on in a second here, Phil. I
can see him down there waving. I love that guy.
I wasn't sure if you knew if I was waiting there or not. So it's like,
You see, I would have added to, but I don't know how to work the cameras. I've done it once, and that was a complete fluke, and I don't know how to do it anymore. I'm absolutely terrible with technology. It hates me.
I kind of am too. So.
But yeah, just going really back on Mr. Terrific, just seeing the teasers, see him in the commercials. The outfit is very close to on par to Mr. Terrific from the Arrowverse as well.
Book accuracy, comic book accuracy.
So for a second there, I thought, did they actually hire the guy that was from Arrow? But it's like it's like totally different name, so no.
Well, this guy is 10 times better than the one from Arrow. I mean, don't get me wrong, the one fit in the Arrow universe, but this Mr. Terrific, you'd be like, okay, this guy is something else. I liked him, and I hope, like I said, we can see him more. Phil, you saw it?
I did. I won't spend too much time on it, but it was just a fun movie. Like if you're looking to like just get away and just watch, and it's bright, it's lighter than the last incarnation. Like there's more humor. But I found myself really cheering on Superman, and me
too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun to see also the first time them actually put Crypto in a movie, to see that kind of incarnation of it. And it was, this dog was just, he's not bright, but it's
not to get spoilers away, but he didn't really like Crypto that much.
Yeah, no, he's just frustrated with. You find out why at the end, but yeah, I won't say anything. But
yeah,
he,
no spoilers.
Yeah, but no, it's a good time. You just need to get away, find a movie to have a good time. That's
Yeah, I can't wait for Katie and Dave to see this movie and stuff like that
Yeah.
before it goes out of the theatrical release and stuff
Yeah,
like that, because
Oh, sweet.
it's gonna make.
I'm not gonna see it for years.
no.
I probably won't see it for years. It happens all the time. I get caught up in other things, mainly new book releases. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to watch this. I still haven't watched the last 2 seasons of Arrow. And I still haven't got round to watching a single episode of The Flash yet. You know, I'm so disappointed in myself, but I'm just, especially with the week I've had, I'm just like not in like
the mood,
TV watching mood. So
I can understand that.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to, during this week, to get a little bit into the TV watching mood, so that I'm able to really get into the first 2 episodes of Strange New World season 3. That obviously is needed for next week's show. So
yeah, so definitely
gonna with this real quick, Dave. To get back onto the topic at hand and stuff and everything. I was gonna say this. Do anybody remember if you guys can remember Star Trek Nemesis? When they was in Picard's quarter and they was at the it was the end where they was toasting to celebrate Data's life. After he his termination, and what you want to say and stuff and everything else. Riker said, I remember the first time I seen Data, he was leaning up against a tree. I was like, no. They wrote that wrong. They wrote that wrong. Memory serves in Encounter at Farpoint, when the battle bridge, or I should say, Riker was on the battle bridge for the first time, I should say, and Picard ordered him to, reattach the star drive section with the salsa section. And Data said, are you sure about this? He said, you were to do this automation, not, remotely or anything.
Yeah,
I remember
manually.
That was the first time manually. Yeah, manually. That was the first time to me that I seen him interact with Data.
No.
Being the one on the holodeck.
No, the first time that Riker interacted with Data was on the holodeck.
When they reconnected the Enterprise, when the saucer section was in orbit, and the battle section was coming, was orbiting the planet. Riker was ordered to beam up to the Enterprise, but it was the battle, the star drive section, and that scene took place before they met, before the holodeck sex part of the movie of the show. The battle bridge scene happened before the holodeck scene, and that was the first time that Riker mentioned Data, or seen, talked to Data. He actually interacted with him, but yet he didn't really interact with him until he was on the holodeck in the second part of Encounter at Farpoint, because that happened in the first part of the Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh, and to kind of add to that. Go ahead, Katie.
No, every single thing online, everywhere online. And if I have to, I will put the episode on my TV. But according to everywhere online, the first interaction that they have is on the holodeck, and then it's after that when they put the Enterprise back together.
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to end up watching that episode again just to verify all that. But I didn't even think of that episode. But you brought up the point, Travis, about the holodeck scene. The Riker was sharing that he was leaning up against a tree trying to whistle.
Yes.
And Riker was just totally stumped, forgot what he was whistling, but like, half of the audience at the theater was just like, "Pop goes the weasel,"
Yeah.
which kind of ties into season 3 of Picard.
Yeah.
When they were at the Daystrom station, Riker recognized it, even though it was off key, and then he just like, I can't whistle worth shit. Data can probably whistle better than I can, but he just like, and that just triggered something, and the holographic Moriarty is like, excellent.
Yeah, because it was part of the security feature of the station, wasn't it?
Yeah, Data was part of that security system, or M25, whatever his
Yeah.
name was.
It's this thing. I just looked it up on Memory Alpha. The fifth act in kind of at Farpoint took place where Riker was on the battle bridge with Data, Tasha Yar, and Chief O'Brien. You skip all the way to the 7th act. That's when he encountered Data in the holodeck. The 5th act was the battle bridge. The 7th act was the holodeck.
I'm gonna have to look
I guess in theory, because I mean that, like, the holodeck was the first true interaction between the two of them, because I mean the battle bridge, they're just like, do this, do this, do this. So there was no real connecting or trying to connect. He was just being the boss.
If you want to interpretation like that, yes, you want to say personally, but they was working together when the first technically interacting with one another. They were on the battle bridge, and then 7th act took place on the holodeck. When he was gonna having a waiting when he was forming a waiting to beam down to the planet.
Yeah, but kind of just bouncing around, saying, because there's like so many episodes we want to talk about. The one that I want to discuss is Descent, when Data experiences emotion for the first time, killing that Borg drone. I mean, that kind of just shows Spiner's acting chops when he's trying to duplicate the emotion, and he couldn't do it. And I don't know if you guys ever caught this. I forget how long ago I caught it, but I caught it on a replay when Data was in the holodeck fighting the Borg, trying to see if he could get it going again, kept on upping the Borg drone's strength to try and see if it puts him into any danger. But you could just tell how flatly Data was. He's like, stop.
Yeah.
And he throws the holographic Borg away. You can hear the stuntman grunt when he hits the floor. You can hear you're like, dang it. As soon as I want to do something, I get a cough. Say, or something like that. As you can hear the body just kind of crumple on the floor. See, that's...
So I probably wouldn't sound half dead, but no, I don't know who it was that said today in that episode. I don't know if it was Geordi.
He was talking. Geordi at that time.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what was said, but it was basically put to Data that because it's the holodeck, it wasn't in any true danger. Maybe that was one of the reasons, but also it could have just been a fluke. Now, during Now, even before all of this, and before Data had that first encounter with emotion, I always maintained that Data did have emotion. And everyone said to me, no, you don't understand about androids. He doesn't have any emotion at all. It's not like a Vulcan thing where they suppress it. And I'm just like, well, hold on a minute. If he doesn't have emotion, then why is he the way he is with Spock? And I always took it back to Spock. And regardless, I mean, don't get me wrong, Brent Spiner is an absolutely amazing actor. And he played Data beautifully. And he just got everything right with it. Well, apart from the odd slip up with verbal contractions here and there. But, you know, that happens. That was actually probably an editing thing, in all honesty, or done deliberately, just to see if the fans had realised. But I always took everything back to Spock. And, like, before we, you know, reviewed season 3 of Picard and everything, I always took Data's emotional awakening, so to speak, all the way back to Spock. Because the way he was with that cat, there is no way that there was zero emotion there. And I'm actually wondering if, aside from the emotion chip, I'm actually wondering if one of two things happened when Data was built. Because obviously Law was built first, and his emotion has just basically turned him into a dick.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice. And obviously he was dismantled and deactivated, and then Data was created. And I'm wondering if rather one or two things happened. Yes, the emotion chip for Data was created. We know this, but it was held back. But in order for Data's neural net to be able to accept it, pathways that have had to have already been built in order for the emotion chip to connect and for it to work. And I'm actually wondering if Dr. Sung built Data's neural net not only to accept the emotion chip, but possibly to hopefully and potentially evolve on its own, or it was a complete accident that actually happened. Because I swear blind that even before Data got his emotion chip, he did display emotion. Maybe not in the way we would, and maybe not to a point where his neural net consciously recognized it, but he did display, right from very early on, he displayed emotion, he displayed sentimentality, he displayed care, you know, fondness, and things like that. And all of those things, you need him at friendship. You need emotion within friendship. The connection that he very quickly built with Geordi, like especially, you know, that requires even the most basic of emotion. And I'm wondering if actually something went a little bit wrong with Data, but it kind of like had a bit of like a happy result sort of thing. Because I mean, the way that it was when he asked Worf to look after Spock, I'm sorry, but that was like full on, like that was almost like full on cat mom.
Phil,
You know,
a good cat and a pretty cat.
exactly. You know, And that, you could hear the emotion in that, even though it was still very deadpan and to the point. It was almost like emotion was really trying to like break through. And then the look on Worf's face is just like, I will feed him. And then Data just like, yeah, all right. But even Data knew that it was being a little bit too much, And now all of that, for me anyway, all of that requires some level of basic emotion. And I still maintain to this day, I don't care who disagrees with me. I still maintain to this day that if Data never got his emotion chip, I reckon that he'd have developed emotions naturally because of the pathways already built to accept the chip. And then fast forward to season 3 of Picard, he basically said that it was Spock who introduced him to emotion and made him feel before he had emotion. And he understood that basically there was like a subconscious level of emotion there that never registered. And I thought that was beautiful. And, of all things, a cat. I'm sorry, but, there's a reason why cats are my favourite animal, and that is why. And, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But I'm going to shut up now because I could, like, really just talk about this all day. So, yeah, somebody else talk, please.
Well, we don't have that cap anymore. Say I'm not going to my Monday AA meeting, at least for the foreseeable future.
Right, okay.
So, but let's say season 2, I think, was kind of breakout for Brent Spiner because he had 3 really, really big episodes. Of course, The Measure of a Man, which we discussed in the past. Say Elementary Dear Data, where he tries to win out on beating Moriarty in the holodeck. And then one underrated episode is The Schizoid Man, when he meets Ira Graves, who was like quote unquote granddad for Data and Lore. And when Graves was able to superimpose his consciousness onto Data's positronic matrix, I mean, it definitely got to show a lot of a darker sided Data, almost a Jekyll and Hyde sort of situation that he had zero control over.
Yes, do you know what? I actually forgot about that episode.
Yeah, then
But that was intense, and it really does show the scope of Brent Spiner's acting as well.
Yeah, saying when he/Graves was doing the eulogy when they were going to be, which I never understood why they put. Well, I understand they put. They put the dead in a torpedo casing, and then they shoot it off like a regular torpedo. But in this case, he was on the transporter pad, and they just beamed the casing out into space. It just tumbled away. Which one, I think someone as great as Graves, he would have a proper burial on Earth or something like that. But yeah, when Data was just started to ramble on and on, say Picard was trying to call him out. It's like, you're done, Data. It's like, no, I'm not. Just a minute. It's like, no, you're done. And that's when they start getting those first signs that there's something amiss with Data, thinking that he just might be starting to exhibit emotional awareness because find his grandfather and then his grandfather dying. It just, people were kind of wondering about that. And then
Geordi, you noticed something amiss first.
I think so, yeah. But then and then when Graves' girlfriend was in 10 forward and Graves didn't know Data's strength and actually almost crushed her hand. But that's when I think at that point, that's when Graves realized that I can't do this, and downloaded himself into the Enterprise computer instead.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose that, you know, hurting somebody like that, who you love, you know, like not knowing your own strength, as egotistical as Graves was, he really did care for that girl. And I think that really is the only thing that could have snapped him out of it. As heartbreaking as it is in a way, you know, I think that nothing. I don't think anything else could have snapped him out of it and made him see sense.
Yeah, and his utter shock and confusion when she turned down his offer to make an android body for her so the two of them could live forever, and she was like, I don't want that. Say, when my time's here, my time's here.
Mm. And that was, I suppose, in a way, that was a bit of a heartbreaking moment for him. But I don't think that at first, I don't think he understood it from her point of view. But as well, even though we've already covered this episode.
Remember that moment.
Sorry, what was that, Phil?
I was trying to recall that moment. I seem to like I know I've seen the episode. I'm trying to remember that moment in the back of my head.
Yeah, it's been a long while since I've seen that episode, and like I said, I completely forgot about it until Dave started talking about it, because I was just like, "Who the hell's Ira Graves?"
Like, granddad.
What I want to say is, the 2 episodes in season 2, as you pointed out in season 2, to me that really stood out on Data was Pen Pal and Peak Performance.
And which one?
Pen Pal and Peak Performance.
Oh, Peak Performance, yeah.
Could you just give a quick synopsis of both of those episodes, please, just for my benefit? Because I don't know episode names really.
Well, Pen Pals, that's the episode where he befriends Sarjenka, an alien whose planet was like going through a whole volcanic insanity, and Wesley was in charge of the mineral, whatever team,
geological mineral team.
Exactly. But Data took it upon himself, but in violation of the Prime Directive, to communicate with this little girl, and then Picard told him, you need to cut off communication. And just as he was about to do that, and saying she's on the radio again, on subspace again, saying, I'm scared. And so Picard made the choice to violate the Prime Directive to save her.
The one thing that's what I want to talk about is Data took it upon himself without talking to Picard first. He answered the distress call himself, and that forces, when he went to the holodeck and Picard was riding the horse, he forced Picard's hand in the sense where he gathered the senior officers, and they was in his quarters. And this is what I like about, like, different, like when they get together and they debate the fine ethical and moral dilemmas of the Prime Directive. Either you break the Prime Directive to save a civilization, or you don't and let the civilization die and stuff. I love the little fine points that they had in the quarters, where they argue, should they or should they not get involved. It was such a really good thing where, you start to look at it and you'd be like, who are you to say that, in a sense, to say this, just like if we were to go out, we can save different civilizations, different species throughout the cosmos. To them, we would be gods, which we're not. And the Prime Directive have to remain. The Prime Directive reminds you that you're not a god, and that the civilization that know about you would think that you are. But on the other hand, you don't want to see suffering happen, because that's one of the things about human beings, in a sense, human beings don't want to see suffering happen, and stuff, but you weigh those moral and ethical dilemmas and stuff. And that's what one of the fine things about that particular episode is, how are they going to get through it? Up until that point, what were they going to do? And stuff and everything else. And then Data did a one thing, Picard, to his better judgment, he allowed Data to beam down to the surface, but he did not know he's going to bring aboard, which really irritated him, a kid, and she was on the bridge. But luckily that Dr. Pulaski was able to, erase her memories. Hopefully, because we never heard a scene, from Sajenka again and stuff. But that was one of the things that I noticed too about like Data in the fairly on in the early parts of TNG. It's like he knew, but yet, he still did it anyway. He knows the rules and regulation better than anyone, because if he exposes something, a moment, something, a fact or something like that, is retained in his memory forever. But that's one thing about Pen Pal, and then too about peak performance when he lost to Korami in Stratagema. It really shattered his ego.
Oh yeah.
It really shattered his ego, because people would say even Troy and Pulaski were basically, you went to Picard, and Picard had to like shake some sense into him and stuff and everything. It's like, oh wow, I would guess this from a biological organism and stuff, or someone who is flesh and blood, but Data, getting having an ego trip right now, in a sense, about him not beating Kurami in Stratagema. That was a pretty interesting episode too. But Pen Pals and peak performance set my eyes.
And that peak performance is probably one of the best quotes that Picard ever said, talking to Data. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
Very true. Although I actually do have a question to put to you all, and it's something that I've always, especially with watching episodes like Pen Pal, and we saw it in Insurrection as well. I can't think off the top of my head any other examples, but Data has an ethical and moral subroutine, and as we saw in Insurrection, when he was fired upon, those subroutines took over, and that's why he exposed the Duckline mission to the Baku. But my question is, how much difficulty would that have caused Data throughout his career in Starfleet? Because yes, there is the Prime Directive, and he is a Starfleet officer. He is, because of his programming, especially, he is bound by the oath that he took and orders that he's given. But in regards to his ethical and moral subroutine, surely, especially because of what we saw in Insurrection, surely there were parts of his programming that sometimes clashed with Starfleet and their rules and regulations, the Prime Directive. And I've always wondered just how often Data's subroutines were in battle with the Prime Directive. Because surely, even though the Prime Directive is in place for a reason, surely, especially because of what happened in Insurrection, there would have been other times where the Prime Directive in Data's mind came into question. I was just wondering what you guys think about that.
Oopsie.
No. I love Oopsie.
That is.
Because you know me,
Yeah,
when I watch stuff, I'm the same when I read as well, and I'm also the same when I write. I delve into the deep psychology of things, and Data has always fascinated me. He is one of the reasons. He is like the main reason I fell in love with Trek. Well, aside from the Borg, but you know, it's something that I've always questioned with Data. And just the deep psychology of it's always fascinated me.
Yeah, see, in a case like that, I honestly don't know how to answer your question. So I want to put it out to the people that are watching live right now. Just be sure and click like, smash that like button, hit the subscribe bell so you can keep tabs on everything that we're talking about. But I wanted to double back really quick on something that Sean, which welcome by the way, man. Thanks for joining us. That he named one of his children after Data.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, see, I'll throw it up there again. Just like
I've always said there's like you mentioned peak performance, and I wanted to bring that one up because Data's reactions to things have always kind of led me to believe that there must be something forming in him that's starting to develop emotions, which is why when they brought up the whole thing of an emotion chip, that kind of threw me off. I thought, why are they introducing this in the script? Because I thought the whole idea is that he's a machine, but is becoming human. He's that sort of Pinocchio-like character that is there's little sprinkles all through the episode. And I remember watching Peak Performance, thought that was kind of the first time I thought he's kind of having an emotional reaction almost. The fact that he wanted to remove himself, and even the way he's talking, he snaps back at Picard at first, saying, remove me from the bridge, take me away from this. There was another scene where he actually got angry. I think it was when I want to say it's when he took over the bridge at some point. There's one. Was it when he got mad at Worf?
no, that was what was that?
But he got mad at somebody. I think Worf was one of them.
Yeah. God, my brain's.
There is one episode that stands out. Now that you've just mentioned that, Phil, there is one episode that stands out. And again, I'm such a terrible Trekkie because I don't really remember episode names. But when Data was kidnapped and he was basically that stupid bloke, I can't remember his name. I just call him the bloke I want to punch.
The most toys.
Was that when Data got put in that?
I like him as an actor, but anyways, yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah,
and he took Data and added him to his collection of rare items.
The most toys.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. At the end of that, the way Data was. Now, I'm sorry, but that was definitely an emotional reaction.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And
he just shrugs it off, saying, "No, there must have been a malfunction with the transporter."
Yeah. What he said to Riker, was it Riker? When he got beamed up, and he said that something must have happened during transport. Now, technically, Data did not lie.
No
Technically.
mission.
Yeah, technically, Data did not lie, but he did not tell the whole truth. And that episode for me was a pivotal point for Data's evolution because, I mean, you saw throughout that episode, he was, even though he was doing what he could to try and escape, he was also doing what he could to try and safeguard people. And then when he did finally escape, and that guy just
He was Pacho. That was his name.
yeah. When he killed that woman, yeah, Data almost lost his shit. You know, putting it plainly. And I remember first watching that episode, and I'm just like, oh my god, you know, this is some raw emotion that he's showing here. And it's very understandable because even though the way that Brent Spiner like played that scene, it was so matter of fact and emotionless, and yet full of emotion at the same time. And this is where I really take my hat off to Brent Spiner for his role as Data, and that is because he constantly, but what he put into that role, it did constantly make people question, like, parts about Data, like, does he have emotion? Is he developing emotion? And all right, fair enough. That may be how he was supposed to have acted it, but it's not often that an actor can pull something like that off. Playing something so emotionless and yet portraying so much emotion at the same time. And that scene at the end of that episode, just before Data's transported back to the ship, I think even Data was a little bit confused by it himself, because the way he was when he was beamed back up, when he was just like, when Riker said, you know, that it said that there was a phaser discharge, the look on Data's face, it was almost like he knew what had happened, but he was confused by it and he didn't quite understand it himself. And that's, for me, I think that's why he didn't tell, even though he did tell the truth, it was technically the truth, he didn't elaborate. And I, like I say, for me, that was like a very like pivotal moment for me anyway. As a viewer, it was a very pivotal moment in Data's evolution because there are so many questions surrounding that. And I'm really, really glad that Phil brought up what he did, because it does raise a hell of a lot of questions.
Well, here's something. Do you guys remember in Redemption Part 2 when he took command of the Starship Sutherland?
Sutherland, yep.
And his first officer, the Lieutenant Commander Christopher Hobson.
Hobson, yep.
You remember that scene where Data, he brought the ship to a halt?
And he's like, Picard's calling us. Picard's telling us to do this. I mean, Data, he was doing his own thing, and he just the look, the stern look on his face when he ordered him to fire, and he's just like, fire, and he's not doing it. He's like, fire. See, there's definitely some emotion in that.
The episode Gambit Part 1.
That's the other that episode that I think Katie was trying to think of as well. It's like Gambit. I pulled that up and just like, yeah, when Data dressed down Worf.
Part
It's-
1.
But
Yeah.
but on the flip side though, when Data went into the ready room to talk to him about Worf's behavior, just like Data was standing his ground. Data was in command essentially, with Picard supposedly dead, Riker kidnapped, to put Data in command, and Data was firm yet gentle with Worf, just like, if you don't want it, I'll just put it as a transfer. I won't put it as a reprimand. Blah blah blah. But then he's like, I am sorry if I ruined our friendship. And then Worf came back and saying, if anyone was risking that friendship, that was me, not you.
Yeah. I loved that moment. I really did. I am so sorry. My eyes are just, allergies.
I hear you.
But there was a lot of those moments for Data, and the first one of those moments was Measure of a Man. Now I remember the name of that episode.
Yeah, because we talked about it not too long ago.
Well, yeah, but also it is one of my favourite episodes of Next Gen, and it's a very pivotal episode. It is a very important episode. It's quite monumental, in fact. And when the way Riker was about taking up the role of like prosecution kind of thing, and how bad he felt afterwards, and the way Data went to Riker at the end of that, and basically said to him, look, if you hadn't have agreed to do that, I wouldn't be here right now. That for me, especially after everything that had happened in that episode, and what parts of Data we all saw, because that was like the first time there was any form of deep dive on Data, really. And you really did see what kind of person he was. Not an officer, not an android, not a man, but a person. It was quite, it was quite clear that he showed sentimentality, love, and especially when it came to Tasha. And also friendship, loyalty, and understanding as well. All of those things are emotion, and that final scene between Data and Riker, that really hit me in the feels, and I always get so emotional watching that final. Well, I mean, the full episode for me is quite emotional, but I always get so emotional at that final scene because that was the first time, really. I mean, the whole episode was, but especially in that moment, it was like the first time that it did really come into question, does Data actually have some form of emotion? Even though it was questioned throughout the episode, especially when it came to the little holographic image of Tasha and the reasons why he kept it, she basically holds a very special place within his heart. And he even said, she's special to me. And then the interaction between him and Riker, that was the the moment when Data's emotion really does come into question for me.
No, say you brought it up. Saying I gotta ask that question again. When Data and Tasha slept together, did he goo in her, as I like to say?
I wonder what size it was because
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
I always wonder about that.
So
If he was average, above
I mean,
average, or
yeah.
small. I
See,
mean,
I knew I was gonna
you know.
break Katie with that question, though. I'm sorry, but
I mean, wouldn't that go back to Nooney and Soong and the design and programming, taking that into consideration to
Yeah,
produce
did he design Data in all of his
plan
attributes and
that?
stuff and everything, like right
including
down to.
the sperm count.
I mean,
Like,
I mean,
and is it just nanobots? Like what?
My thought still stands that Soong actually made it so that he could produce sperm to be
I mean,
progeny.
to me it'd be fake because I mean he's artificial life form, so he couldn't
So
yeah,
biologically look.
shooting blanks.
It could be. I mean, we have ways of making like what they call fake, stuff that you could put in the tube and just squeeze it like some sort of
like a bottle of toothpaste.
yeah, something like that out or something. You have a time program where it just all right, it's time to shoot that out. But this is what I want to talk about too. Let's talk about Data's abilities. One thing too, the episode Royale.
That's the
You
Casino
know,
Royale.
his abilities to do the a deck of cards in the sense you see the whole deck of cards and stuff in the sense that they show how Data was capable of stacking the
Gambling.
deck or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, gambling and stuff. But when they was playing, I forgot what game was it? Craps. They was playing it in the episode Royale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where
Oh,
he squeezed the dice to make it more balanced. And
yeah. He was like, and it just like didn't even look at everything else, and he started hitting and stuff. It was like, okay, data skills. We got to talk about his, his capability, his skills. We seen in was it the naked now, where he was putting back the isolinear chips real fast and stuff and everything else. Like that Wesley said, it was data. It was just like a deck of cards. So he could put them back together and stuff and everything else. But I always think too about the episode 2 in shoot what I can't even get it out of my mind. Shoot. Home soil. I'm really trying to think because it was not long. The last I would say the last outpost, but that was wrong. Anyway, it wasn't the last outpost. We did see in the last outpost he can hold a being like a Ferengi up in the air, and stuff. Oh shoot. Anyway, not to get too offhand and everything else. But there was an episode I can't even think about. I can't even think about this. No, it wasn't too
describe
short of
it.
a season.
What happens in the episode, darling?
Do you guys remember when they went on a planet? It
That
was
narrows it down.
in the wait. They went on a planet and Picard left LaForge in command. It was called the Arsenal of Freedom. The Arsenal of Freedom. Yes, it was the Arsenal of Freedom because I'm having a real memory flash. Arsenal of Freedom. When they went to a planet and there were some probes because they was responding to a distress
oh,
call. I think a distress call from the USS Drake, and I think the captain of Drake was a friend of Riker's.
Yep.
And these probes was basically a demonstration of their weapons. Each probe sent out, basically was upgraded more and more. Picard and Beverly fell into a big pit, a big old ditch, a big old pit, and everything else fell down into basically what was like the nerve center of the where the probes were shooting out and stuff. Well, I know Tasha was on the away team, Riker, Data, and basically, they was trying to find cover and stuff and everything, but they was actually was able. LaForge separated the ship. He sent everybody that he could that wasn't, all non-essential personnel on the social sector away from the planet. And he went and he used the star drive section basically to, go back to rescue the away team. Now, in that episode, I remember seeing that when Riker was on top of the surface and Data was on top of the surface, they were trying to figure out a way to get down to Beverly Crusher because she was injured. Data said something on the line of, "I think I can make it." And Riker said, "No, I don't think that's probably over. I forgot 15 meters or something." He said 11 point something meters, something like that. He said, even with that, he said, "I still don't think you can get down there like that, Data." He said, "I can." But it showed Data can jump 11 he could jump down 11 meters and still be fine. That's another little thing that I like that I saw that was like, oh man, this android is really that's another versatility about being an android and stuff and everything. And he's got speed, he's got his hearing is really good, he can jump down real far. We also know he can cover a good distance in a short amount of time as well. Not sure if he runs or he walks and stuff, but he can cover a good distance and stuff. But like, the things that he can do too, let alone how he can process, calculate things and process stuff and everything else. TNG showed a lot of versatility when it comes to Data's abilities, when sometimes he has to save the crew himself. It comes down to like, what happened? Data's not in the picture and everything, but all of a sudden Data pops up and whoo, he's the one who's actually saving the ship and everything else and stuff, which was pretty nice. Especially what was that episode? I believe it was Galaxy Child. No, it wasn't Galaxy Child. Oh shoot! It was one with Laxana Troy. She was on the ship with Alexander. She took her part and stuff and everything. They had some
Quality
sort
of life.
like yes, quality of life with those crazy
Bubblehead
things. Yeah, and stuff. It was great. They all passed out because life support was at a minimum and stuff and everything else. Data basically, was able to get those the infestation, those or whatever kind of parasites that was in this affecting the entire ship and everything else to get them out of there and stuff. But it showed that Data can exist in the vacuum.
Yeah.
The things about that, a lot of stuff too that I like about how we saw about how Data can do a lot of stuff, especially like I said in the episode Royale where he fixed those dice and he had that chick blow on it. I was like, oh man, if they only knew, she blowing on that like that, that'd send shivers down somebody's thigh.
See, one of my favorite episodes with Data is, oh crap, I had the name in my head then of the episode, and I was so proud of myself for remembering the name of it. It's when it's the episode where he hands Spot over to Worf so that it doesn't hurt him and he ends up attacking Deanna. Phantasms, that's the one.
Fantastic.
I absolutely love that because it shows a whole new side to Data, but it also shows how vulnerable it can be as well, because those life forms were affecting him, and it's
That's basic life
almost
forms.
yeah, and it's he was he's never usually vulnerable. Like you was just saying, Travis, he can like jump down from a great height. He has speed. He like physically and like mentally as well. You know, his dexterity is off the charts, and his strength and everything. But you never really see Data as vulnerable. Yes, you see him with like childlike curiosity and wonder, but you never. It's always Data that can do things when other people can't, because he doesn't have those kind of vulnerabilities. When in schisms, when people were, you know, going doolally through like asleep, and then that other episode as well with the like the nightmare type scenarios. I can't remember. Although I do love the scene in that episode where all the dead bodies just sit up and Beverly freaks out. That is beautiful.
That's Night Terrors.
Yes, Night Terrors. Thank you. You know, Data isn't affected. All of these things, Data isn't affected. The only other time you see Data's vulnerability is when he's affected in, is it episode 2 of season 1? When there's that intoxication virus, when he ends up having a tit with Tasha. That's like literally the only time that Data is in any way vulnerable. And he gets affected by something, but then in Phantasms, he is vulnerable, but he also because of his vulnerability, he also becomes a danger to those around him, because he starts having these like waking dreams. And that is a really deep episode. Not a lot of people realize it, but Phantasms is extremely deep and psychological. That for me is one of my favorite episodes, because it shows Data's vulnerability, but it also shows that because of this vulnerability, he's also a danger. And the way he was after harming Deanna, that was actually quite emotional.
Do y'all
Kill
remember?
them. Kill them all.
Do you guys remember the episode in season 6 called "A Fist Full of Data"
Full of Datas.
and
Yep.
and Mask?
Masks. That's season 7.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love Masks.
Yes.
Everybody hates that episode, but I absolutely adore it. Because I see so many different sides to that episode. But I love that episode so much. And usually when I say that to people of how much I love Masks, they look at me like I've grown an extra 2 heads. But yeah, I love it.
In Fistful Full of Data, I like how he went the Western. I love the Western.
Oh,
You know, Bruce Spider is he's a diverse actor and stuff, but like when I swear, when he was in his Starfleet uniform, he got up, he walked, he just kind of walked like an old Western cowboy. I said, "Oh my God, this is hilarious," because they was experimenting. Him and Geordi was experimenting with, trying to like have Data as a backup computer for the Enterprise and stuff and everything. But Data just somehow took on the road of what's happening on the holodeck with Worf Deanna and Alexander was on there, and he was mimicking, old Western, the old Western style and everything. He said, "We should have this done by supper, Commander." He said, "I hope so." He said, and he just do those little inflictions that's like those American style Western infliction. It was so funny. I was like, okay, I like this. He took a pick up a tricorder. He flipped it up and put it back in the holster. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. But that was
Kind of
a
wonder how
that
many
was a
takes
pretty
that took.
thing about Data. Dave.
I was thinking how many takes it took for Brent Spiner to get that little twirly thing with the tricorder perfect.
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. Oh my
This
goodness.
is why I would love to get the DVDs of Next Gen, because a lot of them now, when they're produced, they do have all like deleted scenes, the gag reels. I'm sure that would be shown, because
Yeah.
that would just be. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, especially with how like close the cast was, the laughs that they used to have, Brent Spiner's comedic ability. I can imagine that whenever it went wrong, there were just so many laughs about it.
Mm-hmm. And the episode
Unless the same thing happened with what happened in Alien Resurrection with Sigourney Weaver. It could have got it right on the first take, and it could have been just an absolute fluke.
Yeah. Now, do you guys remember the episode in the 7th season called Inheritance?
Mm-hmm. That was an interesting one.
That was a
Is
very
that when he finds his mother?
Yes,
See,
this was huh?
See, are you thinking that one, or are you thinking, what was it, Interface?
Inheritance.
Inheritance. Oh, with Data's mom. Yeah.
Yes, I remembered. I'm so proud of myself.
Actually, no. Interface was the one with Geordi.
Yep.
Inheritance was the one with Juliana Tainer.
Yeah.
See, I absolutely love. I can't remember her name, but the actress who played Juliana, I absolutely adore that woman. Every part she ever plays, she plays to perfection, and I absolutely love her voice as well. Her voice is so serene, so beautiful. I mean, it's not the first time she's made an appearance in Trek, and it wasn't the last time neither. But yeah, she played that part beautifully. And yeah, Data's reaction to finding her was it hit me in the feels, but it was also really funny as well, because he did not know how to deal with it. I mean, honestly, how would any of you guys feel if you found your long lost mother? It's something that had never crossed your mind because you never thought you had a mother. He'd never seen, like, he'd never considered that side of things. And And then when he started suspecting that she was an android as well, and then finding out that she was, that was so emotional. Data was so emotional, and I'm just like, screw this, of course he has emotion, look, you know, that's proof.
There was Star Trek TNG had some really good, you know, they toyed around with a lot of different ways that they could, you know, do, I hate to use this word, but experiment with data in ways, because he was an android that we all know. And it's like, what the writers come up with, what can we do this season with, you know, data? You know, how can we set him apart more than what we have done? You know, the brainstorming, when they came around to brainstorming, what could we do in the season that we haven't done before, stuff and everything. And you look at it, you'd be like, you know, we can have some fun with this too. You know, I mean, we all know he couldn't tell a joke for, you know, for the love of anything. He tried his best to, you know, go on the holodeck to, you know, learn stand up, learn comedy. It didn't work, you know. And you know, that time, what's that? When they was in not next gen, but Star Trek Generations, he got his emotion chips inside him. He learned the joke that was told by Commander Riker to LaForge on the bridge at Encounter and Farpoint. LaForge said, that was like 7 years ago, Data. You just now getting the 7-year-old joke. I like the little, you know, experimentation that writers did each time to make, you know, to bring a sense of, you know, levity when it comes to, you know, data and stuff. It's like, oh man, this is so funny. You know, aside from the whole, you know, shit thing, excuse my language, and everything that he said on the bridge when the salsa section was spurling down to Viridian 2, Viridian 3. It was just like, okay, how do we kind of make data, you know, stand out a little bit more? And I like how the writers all, you know, they toy with it for 7 seasons. You know, they toy with, you know, not only bringing a serious nature to, you know, stuff, but like making some things very funny and bringing levity and stuff and everything else. Because, you know, I mean, we could talk about the serious stuff with him throughout the entire, you know, until our heads turn blue and stuff and everything. But, you know, I like to think about, like, you know, what kind of things that, you know, made people laugh, that people look at data and they just laugh. And one thing that you know, always that made me laugh, it always made me laugh when it comes to data, is when oh shoot, what episode was that? It was Ship at the bottom.
Your fan is just going overboard. There isn't no Katie's fan's just going overboard right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I do apologize for that. I really cannot be without my fans on.
It's all good, Katie. Just like lately, it's just going like rah, rah, rah.
But now, in regards to funny moments, one thing that I do want to bring up, I put it in the comments. Inheritance was also the first time that it was actually confirmed that Data does age.
Very slowly.
Very slowly.
Yeah, and yes, I just wanted to point that out. But one thing that has always made me laugh about Data was the limerick that he never got to finish. Even in season 3 of Picard, there was a young woman from Venus.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about that one.
He never got to, even in Picard season 3, he never got to finish that limerick. And it just, that always made me laugh. Like, just it was just one thing about him that always made me laugh. But there were times when he would say something, and I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But there were times where he would just say something, and I would just bust out laughing because he was like so matter of fact, and he was like being like deadly serious, but.
Here's something that you guys remember that Data was very funny that people I laughed at because at that time I was like, oh my god, Data, really? Starship Mind. When the Enterprise was at Arcaria base doing a baryon sweep. Picard went back to the Enterprise. Basically, they evacuated the Enterprise. Picard went back because there was horses, and there was Commander Calvin Hudson. He was throwing a reception.
Call me Hutch.
When small talk, when it comes to, I don't know if you say small talk or anything, stuff like that, watching Data mimic Commander Hutchison.
I was just watching that scene recently.
Made me so laugh because I was like, oh my god, did he studied him just for a little bit. And Data he's already got a vast amount of information and stuff, but like Riker said, how could two people talk about nothing? You know what I mean? They just talk about random facts, just random facts and stuff and everything. And when he walked up to Riker and Beverly, he said, Commander, Doctor, or Beverly, or whatever, shook her head. I was rolling. I was like, okay, this is stepping outside. They just kind of got a little. He's mimicking, Hutchison, and I was like, this is just gonna be hilarious. I thought it was hilarious up until they killed Hutchison.
Yeah. Can I mention something too that I'm kind of surprised hasn't been kind of brought up yet? But it's over the years how they've developed the friendship between Data and Geordi.
Mm-hmm.
How that became something, and that dynamics that they had in their friendship, and that it was the human counterpart. I mean, it was never like they made them they didn't make them like a comedy duo, although there was some little bits of banter in that, but just that, it gave them that friend that Data could go to ask questions, and it was that that sort of that counterpart that and I don't know if that was their intention or if it just sort of developed over the years as the writing, but
pointed out earlier the name of the episode, what's that, Interface, where LaForge was dealing with the loss of his mother, and he just stopped by Data's quarter, and Data didn't know what really. He just was like, okay, and he was just like, he just stopped by Data's quarter for no apparent reason, and Data just kind of like not knowingly aware of it. He called him out on, basically, he said, usually, people who say they stop by for no reason, they always have a reason to stop by or something like that, or you just basically, stuff and everything. That, and from what you were saying, Phil, that's the kind of like little friendship that they developed, because LaForge was just real sad, and he wanted to stop by Data's quarters for just not to be alone, I guess.
Yeah. The only little thing that kind of in Picard season 1 that kind of frustrated me a little bit is that when we, presuming that we were losing Data again, that Geordi wasn't. I mean, I know he wasn't. They didn't have the crew coming together yet, but that moment they talked a lot about the friendship with Picard, and even people I remember commenting left, right, and center with the fact that wait a minute, Geordi was kind of the best friend that he had, right? So it was my own little, after everything they established.
What, I said this before too, that I always saw Picard in the sense as like a mentor, like Data's mentor into certain things. But when it comes to the friendship, like best friends, he called Lafleur his best friend.
Yeah.
But he saw
Yeah.
Picard like he did. Picard did offer him some genuinely good, human advice.
Agreed.
That and really made him. We even said one of the best quotes he said to Data was, when his ego got bruised by Kohlrami in Stratagema, and Picard had to, kick him, get him kicking his complacency or whatever you want to call it and stuff. But you're right about that. Before I seen Picard season 1, they focused it all on Picard. They mentioned names and they had guest appearance. What's that? Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis.
Yeah.
They had guest appearances. They didn't really never have Britt Spiner was in there, obviously. But it wasn't until the 3rd season that we actually saw them reunite the TNG cast members.
Yeah.
And they wanted to keep it, I know they wanted to keep it centered around Picard, and stuff and everything, because the show is called Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
And I understand what you and what people were saying about that too. It's like, oh man, here we go again. I mean, this is the thing. Data didn't physically his structure, his android body died, but what we would consider like a soul was still left behind.
Yeah.
You see, what you just brought up, Phil, that always got to me as well, because Picard. I mean, I think I brought this up when we did the Picard episode a couple of weeks back. Picard was always more like a father figure to Data rather than a friend. And I mean the episode. Oh, I'm so terrible with everything today. I do apologize. Was it Outer Phase? No, that wasn't the name of the episode. Something to do with that when they thought that Geordi and Ro had been killed.
The Next Phase.
The Next Phase. Thank you. I knew it was something along those lines. But Data was in charge of the memorial service. In that episode, Data put so much thought into that, and he took on board what everybody said. It's about celebrating somebody's life. It's about remembering the good times. And Data took all that on board, and he created a beautiful memorial service. I mean, I can only hope that my funeral's as fun. If not, I'll come back and haunt you all. But yeah, he always maintained in that episode that Geordi was his best friend. And without Geordi, I don't think he would have understood fully what friendship was. And Geordi helped teach him about friendship, like properly. Even though he had a very clinical idea about what friendship was, it was Geordi who taught him all the fundamentals. The intricacies of friendship. And then in Picard season 3, when Data was at war with his brother, with Law, the things Geordi said to try and get Data to overpower Law for control.
Mhm.
You know, I will admit, like openly, I cried my eyes out. I was sobbing so much at that scene, and it was a very special moment, that, and all of these moments with him and Geordi. I mean, their friendship is my favorite friendship in all of Trek, and the evolution of that friendship is the deepest and the most profound, in my opinion. And Geordi was there for Data all the way, and vice versa as well. And
Well, there
and
was dissent.
well, yeah.
Croesus was goaded him to say, "Do you have a friend?" And it's like his name was Yuri. Would you kill your friend to have those feelings come back? And Dave's like, yes.
Mhm.
But that just kind of brings on when I saw National Enquirer when I was at my stylist getting a haircut, and it was saying that Data's gone evil. He wants to destroy the Federation, and I thought that was just a load of crap. And then I saw the finale. I was like, oh my god, the Enquirer was right.
Mhm.
No, Data was. You see, because of how I look into things and the way my brains, I did see it for what it was, and I actually remember I had a really, really big argument about that double episode with a couple of people, and everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, Data's turned on the Federation. He's joined his brother, and you know this was the end game for Data all along. You know, the least likely to turn on the Federation, and now he's done it. This is worse than when Picard was assimilated." And I was just like, "Whoa, hold your horses! You're so quick to turn on Data, and yet you're not seeing the extreme manipulation that he's under, to a point where," and this was another time that we saw a vulnerability in Data. He was being heavily manipulated. He was being controlled.
Mhm.
You know, like deep dive into an android psychology. You know, and he was under some heavy manipulation. He was under threat. The people he cared about were under threat, and he didn't turn on the Federation at all. He basically had no choice. You know, he eventually got out of that situation with help from the people that he cares for. And just like with when Picard became Locutus, his family had his back and did everything they could to save him. And it was very difficult to watch that double episode. It really was, because it was very deep, and the psychology of that episode was so screwed up, but it brought up a lot of interesting factors. And it showed a vulnerability in Data, and that vulnerability was exploited. And those kinds of things happen all the time in today's society, all around the world. And that is the message that I got from that episode. Well, double episode, you know, but a lot of people were just so quick to judge and so quick to be like, oh, Data's turned evil and he's turned on the Federation, like kill the android. And it's just like, no, just hold your horses, whoa, Nelly, and
So we had another great appearance of Hugh, though, in that double episode, too.
yes, we did. And Hugh did help Data. It just goes to show you, for me, that episode shows the true value of friendship and family as well. And I mean, I've always been a big believer that family is more than blood, and that is one of the really huge messages that I've always got from Trek. You can find family, you can create a family. Your family is who you make. Is what you make of it. Anybody can become family to each other. And Hugh, because of what happened with him, he did have that kind of loyalty to the Enterprise crew. He was such a big help. But yeah, I do struggle watching that episode because of how deep it is.
But
all up until the All Good Things. You remember how Data was in All Good Things?
yeah, he
You
had a bloody
remember
skunk on
All
his
Good
head.
Things? All Good Things. It was interesting to see how they portrayed Data in the future. Their
Yeah.
version, in the show's version of, 25 years from that timeline and stuff and everything else and stuff. And I still say, and there are other, Trek fans too. In Picard, in the whole Picard season, they should have went with the comm badges they used in All Good Things instead of. That's a big kind of trope that I had with the whole thing. I'm like, you just use the
Well,
same, because it was like you guys, it was right there. You could have used the All Good Things for the for continuity and canon when it comes to Star Trek, because we did see in All Good Things the Klingon, they introduced a futuristic battleship. It turns out they built it. They actually built it. It was like, oh wow, it was first appeared in the Ways of the Warriors in Deep Space Nine. Like, wow, they could use that. Oh, and let's not get too. They use the same communicators, comm badges they use in All Good Things in Deep Space Nine, and at the end in Voyager, was in games. And I just thought that was a little kind of just like, come on, y'all can't. Yeah, I understand that they wanted something new, but I would have preferred the TNG, comm badges versus the one I'm like wearing the stuff and everything. But like I said, in Data in that particular episode, both was it both or no, it was in he was in both. But when they show him in the past and then the present and then in the future, I thought it was kind of funny and stuff and everything else, because when he was walking through engineering, O'Brien said something about burning the midnight oil. He said, "I wouldn't recommend that."
Yeah, I love that. Just little things like that.
But
Even though it's been so matter of fact, that those little things just make me laugh so much.
yeah, but they totally screwed up his costuming. They were missing a pip on his collar. He was a lieutenant junior grade instead of a lieutenant commander.
Yep, that was another little thing that I had in.
That was a
All
big
the thing.
whoops. I mean, that's so.
Yep.
What? But then again, they totally fucked up Tuvok's pips too in the early days of Voyager. He kept being called a
Exactly.
lieutenant. He was a lieutenant commander. Then he
Lieutenant
became a
Commander.
lieutenant, and
Lieutenant
then he became
Commander.
a lieutenant again. So just like wow.
Yeah, a
But
little
there's
things like
like
that.
two more episodes I want to touch base on. One, it was more of a B plot to anything, was Birthright,
Yes.
when
Yeah.
Data was messing around with that, or Bashir was messing around with some weird little doodad from the Gamma Quadrant, which that was a great little tie-in to the two series by having Bashir show up. He's saying, "Oh, the Cardassian computers can't handle this," so he takes it to sick bay, and the Crusher's nowhere to be found. But
And
yes,
he plugs it into the Enterprise computer.
and get zapped for all Data gets zapped for all his trouble and triggers a new program that assumed designed to eventually propagate itself, but that little shock to his system triggered it a little early.
Yes, I
So,
absolutely adore that episode.
so androids do dream of electric sheep. Like
Uh,
Yeah, and that isn't that. I'm sure that's the first. Actually, no, it wasn't. Was that the first time that we saw Brent Spiner out of costume for Data? Did that episode come before or after?
he was in uniform.
No, I'm on about it. Was that the first time we saw Brent Spiner playing Dr. Sung?
no, brothers.
Brothers.
Was that? Yeah, I couldn't remember which one came first, but when in the episode of Brothers, obviously Brent Spiner was still in a lot of makeup because he was portraying an older version of Sung, whereas in this episode, Birthright, Dr. Sung was obviously a lot younger. So Brent
Which I'm
Spiner
sure
was
Brent
no
was great
makeup
before.
whatsoever. Yeah, so he was in like Brent Spiner was in no makeup whatsoever, and you just saw him as himself, and I really love that. Because that was like the first time that we'd actually seen Brent Spiner completely out of makeup on the show. And I think he portrayed Dr. Sung very, very well in both episodes. But there is another episode that I want to mention, and that's Offspring.
Okay, so there are 3 episodes. See,
Yeah.
that was
Before we speak about that, I want to know what other episode you wanted to touch on, Dave.
Data's Day. When he was
Yes.
he was going to be Keiko's
Yeah.
father for the wedding, and he is
Yeah.
it's done in a TOS kind of format where he's narrating a communique that he's going to send to Bruce Maddox as a way of saying what happens during a normal day for me. I mean, there was a lot of shit going on in that episode. There was the Romulan commander portraying a Vulcan to get intel, and so yeah, it's definitely I'm blanking on the name of the TOS episode, which involved the Romulans as well. So Aaron of Mercy kind of did a hot take on it for Strange New Worlds as well, and saying I'm going to look it up because it's going to be driving me nuts at this point.
What episode are you talking about, Dave?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. But like I said, it was
I
like
just need to get a drink. I'll be right back.
okay.
But no, I do love that episode, Data's Day. It was very interesting. The struggle that he went through, bless him, Don't get me wrong, but the parts of it I found so funny. But it was one of those episodes that I call a Sunday episode. It was very like easy in a way. It was very easy going, even though there was a lot going on. It was quite an easygoing episode with a little bit of seriousness, a little bit of comedy mixed in, but a lot of heart. And there wasn't anything too overly dramatic happening. And yeah, that it was a lovely episode. That very heartwarming.
The episode I'm thinking of is Balance of Terror.
Balance of Terror. Oh,
Yeah, say there's a lot of similarities from that episode and what happened in Data's day, where there's a lot of deceit and well that sort of stuff involving the Romulans as well. But of course, that episode also focused on a wedding of two officers that Kirk was going to officiate, but at the end of the episode, someone died. But like with Data, I mean, there's a wedding involved with that one. That ended up with a happy ending, and of course, saying the birth of a new child on the Enterprise during the height of the battle with the nose to nose with the DDRX Warbird. Say, well, all this was going on up on the bridge. This was happening down here. So, like I said, definitely a happier ending than Balance of Terror, but I could still see a lot of the similarities.
I can too. Now that you mention it, I can see that TOS and TNG kind of style. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah. Oh yeah, Balance of Terror. Wow. Good call.
I have my
Oh
moments.
boy.
Well, what's your other?
No, there is an episode that not many people speak about in regards to Data, but this is more of a Brent Spiner thing for me. The episode where O'Brien, Deanna, and Data are taken over by those entities.
Power play.
Power play, yeah. Now, that episode isn't really spoken about a lot. I actually really like that episode. It was very interesting to see Brent Spiner portray that kind of character. And this entity that took him over, he was a proper dickhead, to say the least. And the way he was goading Worf and trying to get Worf to become violent, and just the whole presence of him was very intense and extremely not good. But Brent Spiner played that beautifully. And I mean, the entire episode for me was done brilliantly. And especially Brent Spiner's performance as well. It was in a way it was a bit difficult to watch, because I mean with all three of them as well, because those three characters like Deanna, Miles, and Data, they are some of the nicest people on the ship, and you know they were taken over by these god's awful entities who were evil twats basically. And each of them played that part so well, and it was very surreal watching it, because those three characters are the last. You like the last thing you would ever think from those characters is that they would ever be in any way malevolent or evil or anything like that, and then all of a sudden, even though they were, possessed basically, all of a sudden you were seeing the ship's counselor, the strongest man on the ship, and one of the sweetest, nicest blokes on the ship being completely just evil and not giving a crap. And I've got to take my hat off to all of them for their performance for that. But yeah, I just thought I'd give that episode a little shout out because it's not often that episode is spoken about, and I think that, I mean, especially Brent Spiner's performance as well was absolutely brilliant.
Before Dave brings it to a conclusion, the theory, in theory, I should say.
In theory, yeah.
In theory.
With Michelle Scarabelli.
That should be another mention shout out right there too.
That was a good episode.
He toyed with it.
Yeah, he was toying with emotion, even though he was emulating the emotion without emotion. Because I mean,
and that was painful to watch, that episode.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the better ones, but I mean, it's a good one nonetheless, because the B plot with all that weird little whatever was roaming around the ship and eating it up, but yeah, Data was being a proper dick to the lieutenant. And just like, maybe the problem's with you. And she's like, what the fuck? It's like, you're not my mother. And she just was taken aback. And then Data just went back into Data mode. It's like, and that's the appropriate response for that. And he's like, no, it's not, dude.
You see, when Data was trying and experimenting with things in that episode, it didn't work because he wasn't being himself. Whereas when he is himself, he's actually a lot more convincing with emotion. And he shows a lot more emotion. I mean, even right down to his like childlike naivety and his childlike wonder, That's just him being him, and like being a good friend, a good officer, a good man. It works. Whereas when he tries to do things, like when he tries to be funny, he's not funny. It's painful. Yeah. Whereas when he's just being himself, he can be hilarious.
Yeah.
And
from the audience perspective, it's hilarious, especially in Generations when Riker removed the plank to drop Worf into the ocean, and then Crusher's like, it's all in good fun. Get the spirit. Get it? Got it. Oh. And he just shoves it right over the board. It's like totally unexpected. A lot of people, it's like, of course, we, the audience, were laughing. Then everyone on the ship that was aghast, and Geordi was like, that's not funny, dude.
They looked at Boy like, no, that was not funny.
But no, I really do want to speak about Offspring because that holds such a big spot in my heart. I absolutely adored Lau, and that entire episode. I mean, don't get me wrong; it was full of all sorts of emotion, and that there were some like comedic parts of it as well. But
honestly, that's probably one of the best parts. While grabbing Riker and just plants one right on the lips, and Data walks in. What are your intentions with my daughter, Commander? And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, now that for me, that is probably one of the best scenes in that episode, because it's probably the one that holds the most comedy. But oh, the emotion in that episode. The way Data handles things is so beautiful. Right from the off, he was such a good parent. He thought of everything. And from the off, he wanted to give his child a choice to make their own decisions, right down to race, gender, what she wanted to do. And it was so heartwarming to see the parental side of him. And then when Lal started to portray emotion and like even just use verbal contractions, you know, you could see the pride beaming off him, even though there was concern there as well. You know, the pride, you know, it was plain to see. And then when he realized that something was terribly wrong with Lal, the emotion, you know, Data having emotion without having emotion. Again, it was a pivotal moment. And the final interaction between Data and Lal, that gets me every time. I cannot watch that episode without crying. That is like one episode where if I really do need a damn good cry for whatever reason, I will put that episode on, because you can get almost every emotion out of you in that episode. Because you've got your laughs when it comes to what your intentions towards my daughter, and then you've got, you can feel the pride beaming off Data. You've got your anger towards that stupid dickhead. I can't even remember his name. It was trying to take Lal away.
Admiral Halfdale.
Yeah, thank you. And you get the sense of family, and you experience the love there, but then there's the heartbreak and loss, and like the literally every emotion almost, you know, is in that one episode. And it was done so well. It really was. That entire episode for me was done beautifully. And Lal wasn't forgotten either. Because she was mentioned again in Inheritance. When Juliana was looking through all his paintings, and there was a painting of Lal. And that hit me in the feels a little bit as well, because it was nice to see that she hadn't been forgotten. Because a lot of the time, certain things in Trek are forgotten. But Lal never was. And that shows her importance. I mean, perfect example, slightly off track, but I will get straight back on track. The Borg baby in Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what the hell happened to that baby? You know, that baby was just completely forgotten about.
I
Whereas
forget.
Lal, she never was.
Yeah, I forget who was talking about it. They took care of the baby off screen, but they never canonically they never did anything.
Well, yeah, the baby was never mentioned again. You know, it was just something that was completely forgotten about, disappeared into the ether. And I actually worried that Lal would disappear as well. For so long that there was no mention of her. And I was starting to think that this was another instance where something was forgotten about, and then she made it like I mentioned with the portrait that Data had done, and he just very casually revealed to his long lost mother, "Oh yeah, that's my daughter," you know, and that kind of, even though that hit me in the feels, that made me laugh because of how casually he just announced it. And then of course Lal was mentioned again in Picard season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because her consciousness was incorporated
Not
in
just her, but
into
all the androids, including Lore. I mean, B4, Lore, Law,
yeah
Data, all their apparently, I guess the Daystrom, or was it Alton Soon, took elements that they actually saved, and they create the android that we see in season 3 of Picard. They all put it in one android. Every bits and pieces
yeah
of each android, they put it in that particular android that we see. We call him Data, but it's a brand new version of Data. It's like
yeah
what you call it, 2.0.
yeah, but I think that it was beautiful that like V4 was mentioned and Lal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it just that little bit of continuity. And I love that because Lal was important. Not a lot of people realize it, but she was very important. And Data downloaded all of her memories and experiences into his neural net, and he carried a piece of his daughter within him for the rest of his days, and that's beautiful. And I'm just really glad that she was never forgotten.
Any closing thoughts, remarks, ideas, Phil? You're muted.
I think everybody covered everything.
I'm glad Katie brought up what she did, because I didn't even think of that. So this has been a really good conversation tonight. We did talk quite a bit of what we liked, what we didn't like. So tonight ends the run of doing character profiles, because midnight Pacific got, after 2 years almost, we get the conclusion to the cliffhanger with Pike facing down the Gorn and say, what the fuck's going to happen? How are they going to get out of that situation?
I'll have to rewatch that episode again. It's been so long.
Yeah, like I said, August 10th, 2023 is when that last aired. So yeah, we're talking 2 freaking years. Because I mean, we got La'an on Sam Kirk, Dr. Mabanga, Ortega's. Well, we know Sam and Mabanga got to survive because they were in the original series episodes, but say we just got to figure out what's always going on with that. Then Captain Batel, with her being infected with Gorn parasitic eggs, how's that going to end? So I was like, what the heck? But in true Paramount Plus fashion, they're going to have a second episode, Wedding Bell Blues, which is going to be a much lighter note. But we're going to have Dr. Chapel return from her fellowship alongside Dr. Corby, another character that comes from the original series. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. So Always hope for the
I hope
best.
we get to see more baby Dawn. I hope we get to see more baby Dawn because they are adorable.
They're deadly, but they're adorable.
They are just so cute. Sorry, I find cuteness in the strangest of places.
But yeah, definitely be sure to like the channel and subscribe as well. In doing so, that keeps you up to date. As we're here at 5 o'clock every Monday, and then 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm saying we'll go however long the conversation takes us, but since we got 2 episodes, we're probably looking at least another 2.5 hour conversation. We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. Then hopefully, been playing with some little things with the intro a little bit. I put that little tidbit at the very beginning, a Star Trek podcast, and the little like and subscribe little animations that have been popping up in the middle. So as we fastly approach episode, well, even though next week's going to be episode 70, wow, I think
Jeez.
by the time everything gets caught up, saying I might be on par with the Dangerous Thoughts episodes.
Very possibly.
But yeah, like I said, Val is on the mend, so prayers for speedy recovery, is because the rehab, as someone that's working for senior housing, senior living, senior care options, it's going to be a chore. So hope did I remember to put? I did not put the link for this. I have to remember to put that in there for next week. The link for the GoFundMe to help raise money for her recovery. I think they're about 70-80% of their goal that Manu set. So it's still got a ways to go. So if you can afford $5, $10, $1, every dollar is appreciated and will go towards her recovery 100%.
Yes, because the medical bills are continuing to rise, and
I can only imagine how much the pacemakers end up costing.
yeah. But yeah, just anything anyone can donate is always appreciated. As Dave said, every little helps. And if for whatever reason you are unable to contribute, just please hold the Lady Val in your heart, in your thoughts, and send love and healing her way, please.
Oh, so actually, let's actually just do this one real quick.
And I love Valerie. She is one of the sweetest, beautiful souls.
Why my fingers don't want to work all of a sudden right here?
I don't even talk to me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go to GoFundMe.com, say don't go to GoFundMe.org. And say you just search for Manu. It's going to be the first result. And it's saying support Valerie's journey to health and recovery.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at 69% of their goal as of right now. 205 donations. So that's awesome. But yeah, see, I'm starting to get phone calls, so I'm gonna call it good for tonight. Right. So until next week.
Somebody's been trying to reach me too.
May Spock be with you.
It'll be a couple of weeks for me. I've got to work the next 2 nights, so
poop.
Apologies. Yeah.
So just watch them so you can
definitely am. Yeah.
Yeah, still watch the episodes so you don't get fall behind when you're able to hop on.
Oh, definitely will be for sure. Yeah, maybe in the third week I'll chime in with some thoughts on it, but yeah, for sure.
Okie dokie.
All right.
See you guys later.
Have a good night, all.
You too.
I gotta go.
Good night.